Morning. Yep. Hopefully this is not too loud. My name is Tina Mayer. I'm your worship associate this morning. Please rise, embody your spirit, and join me in singing our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, number 38 in your gray hymnal.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Fenton, and I'm the treasurer of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been with this congregation a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting us, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homelands of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. Announcements for today. Please note the announcement on the back of your order of service. The Artists of Northern Westchester Annual Art Show opens in our fellowship hall today with a reception from 2 to 4. All are welcome to attend. You can purchase a raffle ticket today at coffee hour to support the show. The raffle prize is a beautiful piece by Anne-Marie Pellegano. The Building and Grounds Committee asks all drivers to park carefully. It is critical that cars pull all the way up to the railroad ties in the lower parking lot. It is also critical to park on a slight diagonal. Both of these actions will create more space to allow cars to drive through and to reduce the odds of a car accident. The Board of Trustees thanks Hospitality Team 2, led by Betsy Tomek and Jenny Stillman, for hosting the coffee hours during March. It means a lot to us to share this community time together. And today is the official last day of this year's pledge drive. Thank you to the more than 35 of you who have already returned your pledge cards or brought them with you today. Stick around after the service for a celebratory potluck luncheon. If you still need to get your pledge in, you can drop it in the mail or bring it next Sunday. The pledge committee will be making reminder phone calls starting next week to those we haven't heard from. Together, we continue to build this home for love. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you're present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and today lunch and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you're watching the live stream, the link to our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email.
I'm happy to introduce and welcome back our minister today, Reverend Dr. Michael Tino, our affiliated community minister. Reverend Dr. Michael Tino is part of the lead ministry team at the Church of the Larger Fellowship, Our UU congregation without borders or walls. CLF's membership includes some 1,800 incarcerated Unitarian Universalists. For 15 years, Michael served as the minister of our sibling congregation in Mount Kisco, and they're delighted to return regularly to UUCHV. They live in Peekskill with their husband and daughter. I'd like to now invite Jane Podell to come up and ring our bell 7 times in honor of our 7 UU values.
That is the attack flower. A couple people have already... Good morning. It is really wonderful to be with you all today. Our invocation comes from our Unitarian Universalist shared values, and it is our Unitarian Universalist shared value of pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and our commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Welcome to worship today.
Our chalice lighting words come to us today from Leslie Takahashi. Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn us toward justice. Here in this space made sacred by memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of our years. Now please join me in saying our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
This morning I want us all to think about a time in our lives when we felt like we could be ourselves. And it's possible that you've not yet had a time in your life when you felt you could be all of who you are. And we're going to work on that together. But I want you to think about a time in your life when mostly you felt you could be yourself. You could be true to who you are. You could be who you were. I want you to think about how you knew that it was safe to do that. How did you know that it was safe to be who you were, to express yourself in that space? What did people say to you? What did people do around you that helped you know that? Anyone? Oh, you want an answer? I want an answer. I do. Many answers, I hope.
Others acting just like you or laughing along with you.
So people who were laughing at the same things that you were laughing at, laughing with you, not at you, especially, yeah.
I was with people who I knew would accept me.
So you knew that the people would accept you. You had a relationship with them, and you knew that they were open.
Not needing to be liked, only have anybody's approval.
So your own internal sense that you didn't need anyone's approval. Yeah.
Feeling accepted and not judged.
So the people you were with accepted and were non-judgmental. You were chased by a dead possum on a stick.
Dead possum in a bag, stick, and chased me and my friend.
Okay. So having fun in weird ways. This is great. This is great. Like you knew that it doesn't get weirder than that.
Just being so comfortable, forgetting to be self-conscious.
Oh, being comfortable and forgetting that self-consciousness was even a thing.
Dancing at a Grateful Dead concert with my tribe.
Dancing at a Grateful Dead concert with your tribe, but just everybody dancing together and knowing that you were going to dance together.
Honestly, seeing how the group dealt with the conflict. And so there's a difficult moment and watching how the group dealt with it and that taught me that, okay, then we can handle it.
So you were in a place where you were able to witness how the group dealt with conflict and to know, oh, these people have a healthy way of dealing with things. So if we disagree on something, we're going to be okay.
It's the feeling that I get when I fly into LaGuardia after having been somewhere it's not New York. I feel like that.
So that feeling of seeing a place that is really home.
And when you step into, when you're back in New York, after having been out there, and it's like I can breathe now.
Yeah.
And I can walk with like ease.
So I'll repeat it for people who didn't hear and for people online. The feeling of when you're flying into LaGuardia Airport, of knowing that you're in a place that is yours in New York, and you get off the plane and you're like, okay, I'm in New York again. And the first time I landed at LaGuardia Airport and it was the new airport, I didn't know how to feel. I'm like, this is not the LaGuardia Airport that I know, but I've learned to love it.
When people ask questions and then like listen, like on the edge of their seat.
So the quality of listening, so that people ask questions, curious, and then actually really wanted to know what your answer was. Being a mentor, so having a mentor, or being able to be a mentor, so having people look to you.
When the other person shared everything about themselves, more than I actually knew I wanted to know yet.
Okay, so when the other person felt free to share everything about themselves, and maybe that was like, oh, that's a lot. Well, I can be a lot too. Thank you. Thank you all. Oh.
Having the love of my husband and feeling secure that he loved me.
Okay, so being secure in love in a relationship, in this particular one with your husband, right? So I want us to think today about what it means to create a space where people know that they can be exactly who they are. Okay? You can think about that in RE if you want, but I'm sure you have a lesson. And our young people are going to go out with Jane, and we're going to sing them out.
Looks like we have our last testimonial today from Tom Glickman. Thank you, Tom.
Sorry. Good morning. Thank you very much for giving me a few moments of your time to share with you this testimonial. I'm trying to keep it brief. I'm a bit of a talker. So, as a physics teacher, sometimes, I come across small questions like, is that going to be on the test? But we also come across big questions like, why are we here? And I'd like to think about a more local version of that question. Why are we here? Why are you here? Why are we here today, now? It is a beautiful spring Sunday. Why did you choose to be with us here or watching from home? And not just why, well, you heard I was giving a testimonial, I know. But also, what brought you to UUCHV in the first place? What led to you walking through these doors for that first time, whenever that might have been? You know, the answer for my family begins and ends in some ways with love. Jewish boy falls in love with Catholic girl. Classic. Actually, that's just a small piece of it, but you know, it was interesting. We were actually married by a UU minister before we had any concept of what Unitarian Universalism was. All we did know is that Reverend Janet helped craft for us the most beautiful personal ceremony that blended together our backgrounds, respected our separate backgrounds, and also respected who we had become and our new shared values as a couple. And if that was the beginning of our spiritual journey, if we were looking for a religion that truly loved us for who we were, we wouldn't have to have gone any further. That would have been it. But that actually, we weren't ready for that. And it actually took for us having children that led us back to UU. Actually, it wasn't just having children, it was needing help. And I know you're thinking, our children? How could we have needed help with our children? I know, they're great. We knew what we wanted for them. We wanted them to think beyond the four walls of our home. We wanted them to connect with people outside of our family unit, to love others, and to appreciate what they have and want to pay it forward out of love. And you know, we're teachers, we work in a space where we're always helping people, you know, and we actually were out of our league. And we didn't know how to begin. And that led us looking for back to UU. And in fact, we actually went to a different congregation before coming here. And the people there were lovely, of course, but you know, we wanted more for our children. At that time, they just offered babysitting. And you know, we wanted more for our children than just babysitting. We wanted religious education. We wanted some way for them to proactively engage and love the people around them. And that's what actually led to us being here at UUCHV. So now think about what brought you here. You know, was it that, what brought you here originally? Was it like us to find a connection to something bigger than yourselves that respects maybe a mixed background? Were you looking for world-class religious exploration for our children? Thank you, Jane Padell. Is it because you felt the need to give back to a community and you just didn't know where to begin? Maybe it's because what's going on in the world is sometimes so soul-crushing, you just needed a place to be with other people and know you're not alone. Maybe it was the Black Lives Matter sign outside or the Pride flag, and you knew that this was a safe place and some place you just didn't have to explain things to others. More importantly, what's kept you coming back? You know, is it the spiritual nourishment? You know, every weekend, Reverend Daniel and guest ministers like Reverend Dr. Michael, Reverend Cobb, you know, every weekend they serve up a spiritual feast for us. Is it the actual nourishment? Did someone say chili cook-off or soup competition or the amazing Passover Seder that was held last night? Thank you, Michael and Chris, for an amazing evening. Or coffee hour for that matter. Was it because of how good this community is at helping you be heard when you need to be heard, lending an ear? You know, joys and sorrows, which will be coming up shortly. Who hasn't been moved by something they've heard or something they've shared and hearing from sharing and caring afterwards to know you've been heard? Maybe like like me, you marvel at how well this community does at helping people find their voices. And regardless of the age, for children, fun things like becoming movie makers or tea lovers, or really big things like helping a friend when their fathers or parents been deported. How empowering is that? For adults, being able to join workshops and learn, maybe even a committee, joining the committee, maybe even running a committee, taking action, helping us to learn how to use our voices to connect with and help to love others. Was it the opportunity to sing and make joyous music together? Or maybe just to sit in awe of the talented musicians who bless us weekly with their uplifting and inspirational gifts? The theme for this year's pledge drive is A Home for Love, building together. The foundation is clearly built. It's done. This community is a loving home for every one of us in so many ways. But you know, it was interesting, as I was writing this, I was thinking actually about last week. I couldn't get Nature Boy out of my head, and what an incredible gift that was last weekend. Thank you, Alex, for bringing Emily. But the lyrics, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and to be loved in return. And that is UUCHV, right? So it is a place where you know you will be loved, and it gives us opportunities, countless opportunities to love others. And that is a gift. It is priceless, but it is active, not passive, right? It's not just be loved, it's to love. And one of the best ways you can show love during this pledge season, in the waning hours, is to, first of all, not require people to have to make calls this next week. But, you know, for those of you that have given a pledge, who have actively shared some love with this community, thank you for that gift. And for those of you that are waiting to give, now is a great time to actively love, to share the love with the community, and give a pledge. You know you can. And so as you're thinking about what to give, just think about all the love that you have received, all the love that this community will help you give, and think about how much value you take away from being part of this community, this home for love, this UUCHV. So thank you very much.
We come together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know that there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there's also celebration and joy in our world. We acknowledge that joy and sorrow are woven together. For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in this worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward to light a candle and to briefly tell us of your joy or sorrow. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys and sorrows, and we will light a candle for you. Please remember that your joys and sorrows are being shared on the live stream and the broader virtual community.
At a time when government seems to disappoint us on a daily basis, I just want to share a little joy. Some of you may have noticed that Town of Cortland put a new sign up where all the church signs are, and it directly blocked our sign, so we weren't at all visible. And Chris filled out a form online, and within a week, they moved our sign, so we have a new place. And it was just cool to see it happen and realize that government really can work for the people.
I'm just a tech team.
Hi, I'm Joanne, and my joy this week was Friday evening watching the astronauts splash down. That was just, to me, so thrilling, and just with all the bad things happening around, it was just wonderful to see something wonderful, and so happy for the 4 people and all their families.
So I'm Maddie, and I feel like I've had the full Megillah this week of joy and sorrow. The sorrow, I was honored to be able to be with my dearest friend who made a decision to stop all of her cancer treatments and allow nature to take its course. And to be part of that decision-making was just such a privilege. Also a privilege for me to be remotely connected to a friend whose husband died, and her having to sort out how to begin the journey on her own. So that, felt really just wonderful. I feel very full with the grief and the pain of all that, but in the same moments, I got to spend a day with my 9-year-old granddaughter where we did an amusement park bumper car ride, and a roller coaster experience, and take a 3-mile adventure walk where she became the one who told us where to turn and how to explore. So it felt very joyous. And I just want to amplify what Tom was saying about some of what I experience here, is that I get filled up with community and with support, and being here today is going to help me have the resilience to keep going, and so I'm so grateful.
Good morning, I'm April. I have a joy and a sorrow. My sorrow is that my father-in-law has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he's in his mid-80s. He has some other health issues. He's not, I don't know how long he'll be with us. It's not imminent, but he's not doing very well overall, and I just want to, my mother-in-law and my siblings-in-law, I don't know that well, I do know they're not prepared for his passing. And so I just want to hold them all in compassion as they go through this. And I also want to share a joy, which was, I think I shared before that I was going to Oklahoma for spring break. And, I was literally amongst the Trumpers, when I went to my aunt's house and they had the big Trump 2024 Take America Back flag. And so William and I have to brace ourselves, what are we going to do here, how are we going to move through this? It was also 2 hours away from anywhere. And I'm so pleased to talk about tolerance and love, and to be able to enjoy my aunt and her husband and how they were so loving to us. And it was a real lesson for me, and one for William about, and I talked about UUism, about the inherent worth of all beings, regardless of political affiliation. And I've been able to hold that. It's complicated, as everyone knows, but also we have to, if we're going to be less divisive, we have to be open. So we were able to do that, and we had a nice time.
I'd like to hold a place in my heart for my first wife, Sally, who many of you know, former parishioner and a friend to many of us all here. Her brother passed away, so please hold the place.
Hi, I'm Ginny, and I want to share a joy that I had this weekend. About 4 years ago, when I was involved with being a volunteer for Open Arms for Refugees, I had the opportunity to help a young woman from Myanmar, formerly Burma, who came to this country seeking asylum and did get asylum status and now has her green card. But anyway, there was something about her, we just clicked in terms of personality. She's a computer person, kind of like I was, does a lot of database kind of stuff, or did. But more than that, she loves flowers, wildflowers, and nature. She's a tree hugger, so when we go hiking, there she is, hugging trees, even the one that had poison ivy growing up before she knew about poison ivy. Anyway, she's just a real joy. She's moved to Yonkers. She was up in our area, but I don't get to see her but maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And when we do, it's just such a joy. She has this inner peace about her, which I just marvel at. She's a Buddhist. Never really talks about her religion, but I know she is very sacred in that respect. We've taken her to the Buddhist temple up on Route 301 up near Carmel or Fahnestock or whatever, which she really appreciates. But anyway, she's just such a joy. Some of you met her briefly yesterday when we were setting up for the art show. So this weekend I had a chance to share with her how to make ikebana arrangements. And the two of us had like 2 or 3 hours of just pure joy together. Anyway, thank you. Sue is her name. Kin Mo Sue. Kim is really her kind of first name. Mo is kind of her middle name. Sue is kind of her last name. But she said, no one in this country understands all these different names for us Asian people. So just call me Sue.
All those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed, and for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and to be received with love.
We take these joys and these sorrows into the heart of this religious community in a moment of centering. So I invite you to center yourself, to feel the weight of your body in your seat, to plant your feet on the floor if that is comfortable for you and accessible to you, and to feel your breath moving in and out of your body. However it is that breath makes you feel at home in your body, at peace in your body, I invite you to breathe with me. And feel the breath moving in and out of your body. And as we breathe together, we know that we are connected to one another. We know that the joys and the sorrows expressed are all of our joys and sorrows. We know that none of us is alone in this life, in our struggles, in our sorrows, that none of us celebrates our joys alone, because we are connected to one another. And as we continue to breathe, let us understand that this breath connects us to the world outside these walls. We are connected in breath, in substance, and in spirit to all of the beings who ever have been, to all of the beings who are, and to all of the beings who are yet to be on this beautiful planet that nourishes and sustains us. We know we are connected. We know we are connected to all beings around our planet, to all people around our planet, to all of the people who are struggling right now, to all of the people who are celebrating right now. And as we breathe together and feel that connection, let us radiate love outward into that connection, that someone, somewhere, might feel some bit of love and not know where it came from. And let us understand that maybe as we are going through our lives, we might feel some bit of love and know that we are connected to someone that we have never met, who is radiating love back to us. We breathe together and know that we are connected, and know that we are not alone, and know that just as we love, we are loved. Let us do this together in silence for a moment.
Our reading today is titled Sacred Black Text by Dr. Takia Nuramin. When I used to work with Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, BLUU, doing workshops or meeting people in UU congregations, inevitably a very well-meaning white person would ask, who's the Black Emerson? Or who's the Black Thoreau? This question is icky, is wrong for so many reasons. One of the tenets of white supremacy culture is the prioritization of the written word and not understanding that if you want to discover the evidence of Unitarianism, Universalism, or Unitarian Universalism in the lives of Black folks, it's not always in written essays, because historically we've had different trajectories, different levels of care and resources and access that would enable us to create something like that. If you're seeking sacred Black text in our tradition, you have to examine the way our Black ancestors lived. You have to seek out the Black folks who were in Unitarian and Universalist or UU congregations and the work that they were doing in community, whether it was suffrage or trying to educate Black children, or they're working towards social action or civil access. Our text is embodied in the lives of people like Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Joseph Jordan, David Eaton, and countless others. One of the things I love about this tradition is that our faith is covenantal and not confessional, meaning that to some degree, our tradition cares little about what you stand up and say you believe. The evidence of your Unitarian Universalism is embodied in the depth of your relationships. How do you live in relationship to self and other? I don't just mean human other, to the plants, to the animals, to the stars. The proof is in the pudding for UUs. It's not about what you have to say. How are you living? Part of the source material that Black UUs in particular draw on to understand how we're supposed to live within Unitarian Universalism today is in the lived reality of the people who came before us, how they lived out their values. The histories of our Black ancestors and forebears inform, teach, guide, inspire, and orient us, if we let them, in how we can live out a faithful witness today. When I came into this faith more than 20 years ago, there was a pervasive attitude that one could be Unitarian Universalist or proudly Black, but that the two were incompatible. I am heartened that today, through the sacrifices of so many and the legacies of our forebears and ancestors in this faith tradition, I don't hear that anymore. As a proud Black Unitarian Universalist, my gratitude goes to those who came before and made this reality possible. Spirit of life, may we embrace our Black ancestors in this faith, learn from their legacies, and do all we can to embody the best of what they've given us through their sacred example. Amen, Amin, Aseh. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our next hymn in your gray hymnal, There Is More Love Somewhere.
Before I begin, a bit of content note. One of the things I'm going to be talking about today is a recent Supreme Court decision that mentions conversion therapy. And I understand that such therapy has been used to traumatize people, and perhaps you are one of them. And if discussing that brings up your trauma, I want to give you permission to take care of yourself in whatever way you need to leave or to stop listening or whatever it is that you need to take care of your trauma in this moment. But first, a happier story. I want to tell you a little bit about where I felt my call to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. It was a long time ago, and I don't want to date myself, so I won't tell you exactly how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago. And I was a graduate student in cell biology at the time. And I had found Unitarian Universalism at a congregation in Durham, North Carolina, and had become involved in the congregation. I had started teaching religious education. I taught what was then the About Your Sexuality class, which was replaced by the Our Whole Lives sexuality education class, and I was teaching the middle schoolers and mentoring youth who were coming of age, and was invited to become an advisor to the youth group in the congregation. And I was invited by the youth to become their advisor because they had gotten to know me teaching this class, and you don't say no to an invitation from a youth to work with them in that way. So I started doing youth ministry. And before long, I was invited to join the teen staff of something called the Southeast Unitarian Universalist Summer Institute. SUSI is what we call it. It's a week-long summer camp conference. It's really a camp, but it's on a college campus, so it's not like we're intense. I don't need to explain it further. SUSI is where I was invited to work with the teens for the week. And it's a multi-generational conference. People come, entire families come, grandparents bring their grandchildren. It's a beautiful, wonderful community that gathers in Western Virginia every summer. And the teens, the 14 to 17-year-olds, have their own dorm. They get to live in their own dorm, separate from their parents, who are by and large like in the dorm next door. So it's not like they're very far away if anything is needed. But the teen dorm is a special place, and it requires a lot of adult staff who care about teens and know how to work with teens and have good boundaries and all this kind of stuff. And our job was to hold a container for these teens, right? To have rules that kept them safe, and to hold this container for the week, to allow them to be exactly who they were for a week. Within the bounds of this community, we allowed them to be exactly who they were for the week and be loved for that in return. Well, it's not hyperbole to say that this week changed lives. It still changes lives. Teens still go to it. My daughter will be one next year. God help me. It still changes lives because the teens get the message that within the boundaries of their rules, they're not allowed to smoke or do drugs. They're not allowed to use violence or weapons or exhibit destructive behavior. The rules they're really like big rules to keep people safe. Within the rules of this community, they can be themselves. And they're going to find the people who love them. They're going to be people who have things in common with them. They're going to be people who find them funny, who laugh with them. They're going to be people who celebrate with them. But no matter what, the whole community is going to love them for exactly who they are. And it changes lives. And it doesn't just change the lives of the teens, as I am here to witness to you. It changes the lives of the adults who get to work with those teens as well. There was a moment, my second or third year serving on the teen staff at SUSI, that one of the young women who was part of the teen program was in my little group. We broke up into small groups to check in with one another through the week, and at the end of the week, we were checking in. How was your experience? Like, what did you learn about yourself? How did you grow? Like, did you make connections? All this kind of stuff. And she looked at us and she said, this is the first week in several years that I have gone without ingesting any substances, right? She had a drug addiction at home. This is the first week I've done it. And she said, I didn't know if I could when I came here, because I knew it would get me kicked out if I did. I didn't know if I could. And I had prepared a whole safety network, she told us, that if I got kicked out would bring me home if I needed it. She's like, but I thought I'd try. And she said to us, she looked at us, and with absolute sincerity, she said to us, and I think I figured out the kind of support that I need to find when I get home so that I can continue this next week too. And she said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. She said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the kind of love that I found here. I don't know if it even exists in the town where I live, but I know what it looks like when I see it, and I'm going to try my best to find it, and I'm going to try to make next week my second week being clean. And I see people nodding here because I know that this is not an uncommon experience. It's not an uncommon experience to actually find the community of people who help you be the best you that you can be, who help you make changes in your life that are huge, huge changes. And I sat there and listened to her story and understood in that moment the power that a community that loves people has. I understood in that moment the power that we have as a Unitarian Universalist community to love people into whoever they are, into the best version of whoever they are, to love people enough that they are vulnerable enough to grow with us, to bring their brokenness to us and have it just be for a little while. I understood the power of that, and I thought to myself, well, I can't just do this 1 week a year. I can't just do this 1 week a year. And so it was that I figured out that if I went into the ministry, that my ministry could be a ministry of allowing people, not just 14 to 17-year-olds, though 14 to 17-year-olds too, not allowing people of all ages a container, a holy, sacred container in which they could be loved into exactly who they were. My ministry became a ministry of helping congregations be that container for each other. And this is my challenge to you today. It's not an easy challenge, but it goes with your pledge theme, and I didn't even know that. When I came up with this, theme for this week, it was just what I felt called to preach about this week. And so it is in this ministry, in this world in which I am helping congregations love one another, that the United States Supreme Court issued a decision overturning the ban on conversion therapy in Colorado. They said, telling a therapist what they can and cannot say to their patient is against the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech for everyone. And I'm not going to get too far into the weeds in the constitutional law part of this, because it is not our place to be constitutional lawyers. It is our place to be a religious community, So I want to get into the theology of what they said. Because what they said, in essence, theologically, again, not a constitutional lawyer, I'm a minister. What they said, in essence, was that states could not stop medical professionals from abusing their patients. And I can't square myself with that. I can't square myself ethically, legally, but really can't square myself with that religiously. I can't square myself with that theologically. This notion that people who are trusted to help us be our best selves, trusted to help us struggle with the things we're struggling with and come out healthier on the other, and now have permission to tell us that there's actually something wrong with us. Because my faith, my Unitarian Universalist faith, teaches me that there is nothing wrong with exactly who you are. That there is nothing wrong with every bit of exactly who you are. That we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. That each of us comes into this world with inherent worth, with a spark of the divine lit inside of us, that it is our job to let out into this world. And the Supreme Court of the United States has said that trusted professionals can use that trust to squelch that spark in people. The faith that I am called to build, the faith that I am called to minister to, and hopefully the faith that you are called to be a part of by your presence in this room today, is a faith that creates space for people to be exactly who they are. That does the things that we need to do to say that when you trust us with who you are, when you trust me with your identity, when you trust me with your struggles, when you trust me with your secrets, when you trust me with whatever it is you're coming into this room with, my response will be, and I love you. Not, have you thought about changing? And I love you. For whatever the struggles, for whatever the cracks, for whatever the experiences that you're bringing into this room, I love you. And if we are serious about building that faith, we have to practice it with one another too. My friend Takia Nuramin says this so beautifully in the reading that I asked Tina to share with you, that Unitarian Universalism is not about what we say or what we think, it's about what we do in the world, right? And so when people come here and they trust us and they say, I am struggling with this, our response as a community has to be, and we love you. We love you in that struggle. We love you in that pain. We love you in that exploration of yourself. We love you in that identity. We love you with your heritage. We love you bringing all of who you are to bear in this place. 2 years ago, I was interviewing interns at the Church of the Larger Fellowship. I was interviewing potential people to join me as we call the Learning Fellows at the Church of the Larger Fellowship, as Learning Fellows for worship. So I'm the lead minister in charge of worship, so this is someone with whom I was going to be working very closely, planning and implementing worship every week at the Church of the Larger Fellowship. And it came to pass that I had the privilege of interviewing Dante Hilliard for this position, and I can tell you that without breaking human resources rules because he's been my learning fellow for worship for the last 2 years. And Dante is a black Unitarian Universalist who grew up in a Pentecostal tradition and who was told in no uncertain terms that both his identity as a queer black man and his ministry were not welcome in that space unless he changed who he was. He was told that unless he changed his sexuality, he was not welcome in that religious tradition anymore, and so he left into the wilderness of religion for a while and ultimately found Unitarian Universalism. And Dante asked many of the same questions that Takia asked in her reading. He asked, can I actually be a black Pentecostal in Unitarian Universalism? Like, do those things actually mesh in any way? He said to me, if you're going to hire me as your learning fellow for worship, I need to bring all of who I am to the Church of the Larger Fellowship. And I said to him, that would be so fantastic. You're hired. Because I'm not a black Pentecostal by any stretch of the imagination. Like, that is nothing related to the traditions or the heritage that I bring to this space. And so together we bring two very different things, reflecting on the same core set of shared values to the church that we serve. And we revel in those differences with one another. It's not a cause for tension. It's not a cause for alarm when we think differently about things, when we express things differently in worship, when we, create different looking containers for the worship that we put together. It's a cause for celebration because we are making that container of love bigger through our actions. We as Unitarian Universalists celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. And we are called together to understand what it means to live that value, to practice that value, to love one another enough that we can each be exactly who we are, that we each can bring our whole selves not only to this space but to this world. This world needs more people who have permission to be themselves. And in this political climate that we live in that tells people that there's something wrong with them, in this political climate that fights people who exist outside of very tightly constricted little boxes of normality, it is all the more important that we live this work together with each other and in our community. May it be so. Amen. Would you join me in singing, please? Rise in body or spirit, and join us in hymn number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive.
Each week, we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those that in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will be shared with Academic Support College Readiness and Enrichment Program coordinated by Croton Caring. You can refer to our e-newsletter or website for more information. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-news or by visiting our website, uuchudsonvalley.org. Or if you prefer, you may always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Now please join me in the extinguishing of the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May you go from this place knowing that you are whole, knowing that you are loved, and knowing that you are not alone. Blessed be. I think we get to sing again.